All right. I'm not about to hide anything with you guys. I'm not. And I'm not about to sit here and be afraid and be silenced by people knowingly they did me wrong. I'm calling out Tyler Perry Studios. I'm calling out Mark Swinton. I'm calling out Jeannie Harrison. I'm calling out Michael Robbins. I'm calling out Tyler Perry. And I'm calling out Mark Temple. And I'm calling out Chris Giovanni. I want you guys to know what you guys did to me was very unlawful. And me being a retired vet, U.S. Army vet, going through post traumatic stress disorder, going through mood, depressions, everything that I've claimed in my testimony, you all covered it up. You all covered up a felony crime of what Mark Swin has done to me. I've asked for help from the California State Bar to complain to Jeannie Harrison because she didn't tell me my California rights as a U.S. Army veteran and a California LA resident. I'm sitting here looking on the news that this kid named Derek Dixon is getting unlimited jurisdiction quit pro as an LA resident, right? His incident happened in 2020 in Georgia in an employment place. He said he had a sexual harassment, and he was groped by Tyler Perry in Georgia as an employment place. But he's an LA resident. All right, y'all tracking what I'm saying? 2022, my incident. I get sexually assaulted and raped, drugged, blacked out. That's a felony crime. And it happened in Georgia as an LA resident. So if you guys don't know the laws in Georgia, this is what they put against me. They said I had a 2 years of a statute of limitation. I got 5 months late. 2 years of statute, 2 years of statute of limitation, right? Now let's go back to Derek Dixon. 2020, same incident, but just a different, he has sexual harassment. That's way before statute of limitation, right? 2 years, right? That's what, 4, 5 years? And he gets a lawsuit with his attorney, Jonathan Delshad. Jonathan Delshad gets him a $260 million lawsuit. And it's all over TMZ, it's all over Fox, it's all over every news outlet that you can name up, right? Every news outlet. But my civil attorney. Now let's go on the story. How all this stuff happened to me. Ever since I came out with my first video, right? And I'm gonna tell you right now, Mr. TP, I'm not afraid of none of y'all. I'm not afraid of none of your lawyers. I'm not even part of this business, entertainment business anymore. You're gonna get exposed. Me being with Yahweh Elohim, Yahshua the Messiah, I am covered, and I'm about to expose every demon that is literally possessing you right now. I met a guy who's my manager named Chris Giovanni. Now I was, I had an agent out in Atlanta. Her name is Joy Purvis. Everybody knows Jake Purvis, of course. You know, and I told her I was going to go to this guy named Chris Giovanni. And Joy told me, "Oh no, you shouldn't go to him. He's a bad guy. He's not going to be the right manager for you." So I'll say this: I meet Chris. I get signed. You know, He wanted to have dinner. He wanted to meet up at Mama Shelter in Los Angeles. Mama Shelter is closed right now. It's closed down, but that's where me and him met up at, and we had a conversation. So I told him about my situation. Like, I was just telling him what I went through. And, I went through the whole Tyler Perry situation with Mark Swinton and what he did to me, paying me $6,000 to shut the hell up, to not ruin my career, his career, or anything like that. And, you know, I told him about the situation I went through, me being sexually assaulted and raped. And he told me, he was like, oh, yeah, I had the same client that went through that. And all my clients who are on working with Tyler, you know, they're going through a lot of stress, and people are taking advantage of his clients. Even somebody, all right, I'm not about to hide anything with you guys. I'm not. And I'm not about to sit here and be afraid and be silenced by people knowingly they did me wrong. I'm calling out Tyler Perry Studios. I'm calling out Mark Swinton. I'm calling out Jeannie Harrison. I'm calling out Michael Robbins. I'm calling out Tyler Perry. And I'm calling out Mark Temple. And I'm calling out Chris Giovanni. I want you guys to know what you guys did to me was very unlawful. And me being a retired vet, U.S. Army vet, going through post traumatic stress disorder, going through mood, depressions, everything that I've claimed in my testimony, you all covered it up. You all covered up a felony crime of what Mark Swin has done to me. I've asked for help from the California State Bar to complain to Jeannie Harrison because she didn't tell me my California rights as a U.S. Army veteran and a California LA resident. I'm sitting here looking on the news that this kid named Derek Dixon is getting unlimited jurisdiction quit pro as a LA resident, right? His incident happened in 2020 in Georgia in an employment place. He said he had a sexual harassment, and he was groped by Tyler Perry in Georgia as an employment place. But he's an LA resident. All right, y'all tracking what I'm saying? 2022, my incident. I get sexually assaulted and raped, drugged, blacked out. That's a felony crime. And it happened in Georgia as a LA resident. So if you guys don't know the laws in Georgia, this is what they put against me. They said I had a 2 years of a statute of limitation. I got 5 months late. 2 years of statute. He's been working for Tyler for what, since he was 18. I think the guy's like 32 now. I can't. I'm not really good at math, but pretty sure that's what almost 13 years. I'm not really good at math, but that's a very long time. The guy knows the guy very well. So I'm going through the investigation, right, guys? Michael Robbins sends me a message. He has this other paralegal that's typing up all my stuff. Okay, she's listening to everything in my whole testimony. I tell her everything. I tell her everything what happens. I even got the testimony written out and everything. I literally have everything. So I'm over here trying to figure out. Okay, should I get an attorney? I don't know what to do. This just doesn't seem right, right? So I'm trying to figure out to get an attorney. I let Chris know I want to get an attorney. The dude gets pissed off, talking about you don't need to get an attorney. You're just gonna cause problems and all this and blah blah blah. We can't have this happen. And I'm just like, well, I need to be protected because I don't know what these guys are going to do. They're going to manipulate me. These guys are very powerful. They're billionaires, you know. They can do anything. I don't have shit. I ain't got money like them. I don't have shit. I don't got nothing like them. I'm just trying to take down the person who sexually assaulted and raped me. That's the person I'm trying to take down. But here, it gets even much better. While I'm looking for an attorney, I'm looking for entertainment lawyers to try to see who's connected in the business that can really help me out in this situation because I don't have anybody. I have a case, but everybody's not trying to take on my case because it's so political. People don't want to ruin their reputation. And I don't know why people don't. I just feel like it's just so stupid how this entertainment business runs. These people are sitting here like, oh, I'm not trying to mess up my political rep, you know, if I take on the case like this, and then they're just ruining me. Who gives a shit, man? You got a person over here that's been sexually assaulted, and that's a felony crime. Let me say that again. That is a felony crime. Okay? Vulnerable, PTSD, 100% disabled veteran that is going through it. And to be honest with you, I'm federally protected. But I'll get better. I'll continue that story better on to my story when I'm trying to tell you. I'm looking for an entertainment lawyer. There's this guy named Doug Johnson. Doug Johnson, I don't know. I guess he deals with stuff like this with sexual assault. But he said, this ain't my type of thing. But I think I know a woman that can really do this for you. So he introduced me to this lady named Jeannie Harrison. Jeannie Harrison, I guess she was she repped for the Harvey Weinstein victims. And you know, I don't know what happened in the Harvey Weinstein, and I've seen that he went to jail. He's been indicted and stuff like that. So, but he said, this ain't my type of thing. But I think I know a woman that can really do this for you. So he introduced me to this lady named Jeannie Harrison. Jeannie Harrison, I guess she was she repped for the Harvey Weinstein victims. And you know, I don't know what happened in the Harvey Weinstein, and I've seen that he went to jail. He's been indicted and stuff like that. But it sounds like it's good on paper, right? You know, she's got everything that you need, right? So let's continue. She takes on my case. I tell her from the beginning of the story. I tell her, listen, I had a lot of attorneys tell me in Georgia because I don't know my rights because I live in Los Angeles. I'm a resident at Los Angeles, but I went over there and traveled in an employment place and came back, right? So you know they're saying the statute of limitation is 2 years, and I told her this straight up. This was statute of limitation for 2 years, and I had several attorneys tell me that in Georgia. So I was like, well, they were telling me you're gonna have to get a civil attorney in LA because you're a resident in LA. So I'm going here trying to figure out the situation. I'm telling her she still takes on the case. But she says, hey, I'm about to go on vacation for a whole month and I'll let you know when things are going good. I waited a month, okay? I waited a month. No words, nothing. I haven't heard from anyone. I haven't talked to anyone. I only talked to her paralegal. Paralegal's like, just keep sending us some of your doctor stuff and your medical documents. Now, as you know, guys, that's HIPAA Act. Giving out federal documents, what I'm going through in my medical procedures, and knowingly I didn't know they were trying to keep a felony crime hidden. That is a felony crime, and that's federal. But I'll continue. Um, I'm giving all my medical documents to an attorney that is representing me, right? And she doesn't mention any of this stuff to them. Now I know she's gonna tell me, "Oh, I said these things, and blah blah blah." But why haven't you tell me my rights in Los Angeles? Why haven't you tell me I had unlimited jurisdiction in Los Angeles? Why you didn't tell me I had quid pro in Los Angeles? Why was this case not seen by a judge, jury, or Derek Dixon's case? Because I wanted criminal and I wanted civil. But she said it was impossible to do any of that because of the statute of limitation in Georgia. Oh, and I totally forgot. The third party attorney, Michael Robbins, who was doing the investigation, she's been doing business with him for over 15 years, and they've done the same. They were working together at the same practice before for 15 years. They worked on the same cases together as a team. Conflict of interest. A vulnerable victim that's been sexually assaulted and raped, mood disorder, PTSD, depression, going through a lot, going through a lot. And you took advantage of my medical documents. No Silence Act order in California as a resident. As a VA disability retired soldier, I cannot be silenced doing me having a disability. That's a federal crime. I can't be silenced or coerced or pressured to be into signing in anything without seeing a judge, a jury, and I was never told those rights. That's legal malpractice. I make a police report while I'm in Colombia to the Roswell police in September 25th when I came out with my first video. My first video. Before I even signed the NDA. And the NDA was signed in October 31st. Because I even told her I didn't trust her. I didn't trust what they were doing. They were manipulating. I felt like I was being pressed. Even the third party interviewer, Michael Robbins, didn't even give us a conclusion on the case. He didn't even tell us who was at the wrong or anything. He didn't even give us any information. Tyler Perry knew everything. He kept all that information silent. Everything silent. He didn't let anyone know. But my attorney saying, hey, I got text messages of the lady telling me this.
Mark E. Swinton civil lawsuit. Voiceover script, page 1. So the first time I met Mark E. Swinton, I booked a 16-episode role on Ruthless, playing the role of Belle, with the help of Cindy Butler at I Submit Talent Agency in Atlanta, Georgia. I was on a Zoom call with him and Ravin Drummer. They told me how much they loved my self-tape, which I had recorded at North Hollywood's Creation Studios. They even booked me a first-class ticket from Los Angeles to Atlanta, Georgia. When I arrived at the Atlanta airport, a driver was waiting to take me to the Intercontinental Hotel on November 6, 2019. Then came the big day, November 7th, 2019. I was called to set. They took pictures of me in wardrobe and wig. But right before I was about to begin work, Mark Swinton called me into his office. He let me know they were sending me home. He said I had a 17-year-old face, but a man's body. I took it professionally. I didn't make a scene. And Mark told me he was impressed with how I handled it. He even said he would promise me a role in the future. 2 years later, we stayed in contact. He booked me again, this time for a role as a cult member on The Oval, on October 19, 2021. TPS flew me out again from LAX to Atlanta, arriving on November 1, 2021 at 7:40 p.m. EST. But this time, I had to Uber myself to the Intercontinental Hotel. Mark E. Swinton civil lawsuit, voiceover script, page 2. So he asked me to get a COVID test just so he could hang out with me. And I didn't think anything of it. This guy was very powerful at Tyler Perry Studios. Honestly, I was honored that he'd even want to hang out with me. I was still someone trying to come up in the business. He kept texting me, asking where I was, what I was doing. At the time, I was dating a girl named Taylor. We were having sexual relations, and I'd tell him I was with her at Sauce in Buckhead. Still, he'd always bring her up, asking where we were, what we were doing. Then he said he might swing by and buy me a drink, and he did. He bought me a drink and got one for himself and my girlfriend Taylor. When we stepped outside, he started telling me about what Tyler Perry allegedly does at his Bahamas island, saying male and female actors are flown out and have sex with each other. He kept repeating that even later, when he flew me out again to Atlanta on January 6, 2022. But here's what really caught me off guard. Back on November 4, 2021, at 10:54 a.m. PST, he texted asking how I felt about my performance on set. I told him Tyler said I did an incredible job. Then just 35 minutes later, at 11:29 a.m. PST, he texted again. You have plans tonight? We can hang at my crib tonight and you can keep your original flight back. At first, I thought it was wild he'd want me, just an actor, to hang at his crib. But I honestly thought we were building a great relationship. I thought it was something that could really change my career. Mark E. Swinton's civil lawsuit, voiceover script, page 3. On January 5, 2022, at 10:47 a.m. PST, Mark texted me, saying he wanted to see me again. He asked for my name and date of birth, and then booked me a flight back to Atlanta on January 6th at 12:00 p.m. PST on Delta Airlines. He asked what kind of liquor I liked. I told him Don Julio 1942. Then he suggested a steakhouse he thought I'd enjoy. When I landed in Atlanta at 7:21 p.m. EST, I texted him, and he let me know he was waiting in the cell phone lot by Terminal S3. I saw him pull up in a Mercedes G-Wagon. He told me we were heading to Marcel Steakhouse. While we were driving, Tyler Perry called him. He put the call on speaker and told me to be quiet. Then I heard Tyler complaining about other actors, calling them annoying and bad-mouthing crew members. When we got to Marcel Steakhouse in Buckhead, he told me I could order whatever I wanted. He ordered me Don Julio 1942. After my first drink, he kept ordering more drinks. More and more. I ended up having 3 Don Julios straight, on the rocks. By that point, I was already drunk. I tried talking about my career, but he didn't seem interested at all. He just kept complimenting me, telling me how handsome I was. Then we left the restaurant. He took me back to his crib and started showing me his house, showing me his $250,000 painting and this massive aquarium. I remember thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm in his house right now. Mark E. Swinton civil lawsuit, voiceover script, page 4. He asked me if I wanted more Don Julio 1942, said he had a bottle by the bar near his in-home movie theater. He made me a drink and we were drinking together. But something didn't feel right. I started to feel off, dizzy, unbalanced. I was already drinking earlier, but this felt different. We went into his theater and started watching a movie. He kept talking, but I couldn't focus. I couldn't even remember most of what he said. At some point, he took me upstairs. He had another movie playing in a different room. He gave me another drink, and from there, it all went downhill. I felt completely out of it. I couldn't stay upright. I was disoriented, paralyzed. I couldn't fight back. He started trying to kiss my neck. I told him to stop. He said, "It's okay. I got you. Don't worry." But I couldn't move. I felt frozen. Then he started undressing me. He turned me around and I couldn't fight him off. He started applying Vaseline to my body, and then I couldn't move. I couldn't stop him. I was hurting, and then I blacked out. I don't even know what else happened after that. The next morning I woke up. He told me he sent me $6,000 on Apple Pay, like it was supposed to make everything okay. I was humiliated, angry, completely lost for words. I told him I needed to take a shower, and when I stepped in, I noticed I still had Vaseline on me. Mark E. Swinton civil lawsuit, voiceover script, page 5. In the shower, I saw blood mixed with Vaseline on the washcloth, and I just broke down. I was crying, shaking, completely lost. That's when I realized Mark E. Swinton, and for 2 years, I stayed silent. I didn't say a word because I thought I'd be blackballed from Hollywood. I thought my career would be over. I left his place that day and checked into a hotel in Buckhead. But the damage was already done. My PTSD got worse. My mental health started spiraling. I'm a retired Army veteran, and I was already struggling, homeless, house hopping, trying to stay afloat. I couldn't even live a normal life, but I stayed in touch with Mark because I was scared. He had power. He could end my career. I felt like I had to keep him happy. I wanted to report him, but I didn't know how. I started seeing a psychiatrist at the VA, and I told him, I'm not happy. I can't live like this. But even then, the VA kept changing my doctor every 6 months. I never had any real consistency. I didn't have the money to see a civilian doctor. I was fully dependent on the VA. I was drowning, and I thought I'd lose my family too if I spoke up. But they actually had my back. They supported me. Still, I couldn't live with this secret anymore. It was eating me alive. I want justice, not just for me, but for my mental health. Mark E. Swinton caused me so much harm. And now I want to speak up. For me, and for every victim still suffering in silence. Mark E. Swinton's civil lawsuit. Voiceover script. Page 6. That man is Tyler Perry's right-hand man. And I just want justice. I want justice for the emotional distress, the mental illness, the suicidal thoughts he's caused me. My life hasn't been the same since this happened. There were days I wanted to die. Days I prayed God would just take me and end the pain. No one should ever go through what I've gone through and feel forced into silence. This case involves serious and disturbing allegations made against Mark E. Swinton, a longtime producer and director at Tyler Perry Studios. The accuser, a former aspiring actor and military veteran, claims to have first connected with Swinton in 2019 after booking a role on Tyler Perry's show, Ruthless. According to his statement, he was flown out to Atlanta with professional treatment, first-class flight, hotel, driver, only to be told upon arrival that he was being sent home due to having a 17-year-old face and a man's body. Despite that, Swinton allegedly promised him future roles. 2 years later, he says he was flown back out for a role on The Oval, and that's when things began to cross professional boundaries. The actor says Swinton started texting him personally, asking about his whereabouts and wanting to hang out. During these meetups, he alleges Swinton talked casually about sex parties involving Tyler Perry's inner circle, both male and female actors, on a private island. These comments made the actor uncomfortable, but he continued pursuing his career in good faith. Then, during a trip in January 2022, the tone reportedly shifted again. The accuser says Swinton picked him up in a Mercedes, took him to dinner, and ordered him multiple drinks, specifically Don Julio 1942, encouraging him to get drunk. Afterward, he claims Swinton brought him back to his home and began crossing boundaries, eventually assaulting him while he was intoxicated and physically unable to move. The accuser says he was blacked out, paralyzed, and unable to resist what happened. The next morning, he alleges that Swinton sent him $6,000 via Apple Pay and told him to stay quiet. Ashamed and confused, he says he checked himself into a hotel and later realized the full impact of what happened, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. He also reveals that he's a retired Army veteran suffering from PTSD and that this traumatic experience caused a mental health spiral. He says he became homeless, suicidal, and terrified to report the incident out of fear of being blackballed in Hollywood. Despite all of this, he says he kept in contact with Swinton out of fear, not wanting to jeopardize what was left of his acting career. But eventually, he says the pain became too much to bear. After speaking with psychiatrists at the VA and being urged by family to tell his story, he is now publicly accusing Mark E. Swinton of sexual assault, emotional abuse, and career manipulation. He ends his statement by calling Swinton Tyler Perry's right-hand man and saying he wants justice, not just for himself, but for any other victims who may have been silenced or threatened in the process.